This is what you learned about in Chapter 4 of trigonometry. To review with you, for a sine and cosine function, they both have a period of 2 pi. If you remember the sine function, it comes up, it goes back down, starts at 0, finishes at 2 pi, that's 1 revolution for the parent function. The next one, the cosecants and the secants, both also have a period of 2 pi. So if you were to graph, let's say, the cosecant function, if you remember, you would graph the sine function first. So up, down, and around. Then if you remember, you draw the asymptotes, wherever it touches the horizontal axes. And then you create your parabolas, I call them, your little hills that flip-flop. The distance from here to here, 1 revolution, is also 2 pi. The last one is your tangents and cotangents. What's different about these from the previous 4 is they have a distance of pi. So if you remember graphing, let's say, a tangent function. A tangent function has a horizontal asymptote parent of negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. You'd split it down the middle, and you draw your parabola, or not your parabola, your snake. The distance from here to there is a period of pi. So you will need to know the revolution lengths, periods of these 6 trig functions. Again, sine and cosine, cosecant, secant are all 2 pi. And then the tangent of x, the cotangent of x period is pi. And that's going to help us when we solve some multiple angle equations. Next thing I want to review with you is, here is your unit circle. We've asked you to memorize it. Remember, this first quadrant represents your reference angles. The first value is your cosine. The second value is your sine. Cosine, sine, cosine, sine, etc. This is your first reference angle of 30 degrees, or pi over 6. The next one is 45 degrees, or pi over 4. Then the last reference angle is pi over 6, or pi over 3. So if we ask you, I'm just going to clear that out, to find the tangent of one of these angles, I'm going to scroll this down for a moment. However you find the tangent of an angle is by using the quotient identity. The tangent of x is found by taking the sine of x over the cosine of x. So let's find the 3 reference angles tangent values. So let's start off with the easy one. Let's start off with the tangent of 45 degrees, or pi over 4. We take the sine over the cosine. So we head back up to our unit circle. We have these 2 values. This represents the cosine, that represents the sine. So we're going to divide those 2 guys. So we say the square root of 2 over 2 divided by the square root of 2 over 2. When we divide those, we get 1. So if we're asking you for the tangent of pi over 4, we'd say it equals 1. And then all your reference angles are going to be a positive or negative sign of that. So here's your reference angle of 3 pi over 4. Its tangent in the second quadrant is a negative 1. Here's your reference angle. The tangent, in this case, would be a negative divided by negative, makes it a positive. So you'd have a positive 1. All right. The next thing I'd like to do is focus on the next reference angle of 30 degrees, or pi over 6. Here are your ordered pairs, square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. This is your cosine and your sine. So we're going to divide 1/2 by square root of 3 over 2. So we are finding the tangent of 30 degrees, or pi over 6, by taking our sine divided by our cosine. So we're going to take our 1/2 right here, divided by our square root of 3 over 2. Now, fraction divided by fraction, we keep change. We're going to keep the first fraction. We're going to change it to multiplication, and then we're going to reciprocate to 2 over 3. Now you'll notice the 2's cancel. Now you multiply across, and and you rationalize it. So then, all of the angles that are the reference angle of pi over 6 are going to give you the same answer. So this is a reference angle, so then that angle would exist, this angle would exist, and that angle would exist for the pi over 6's. Remember, the tangents, sines are different in each quadrant. All right, last one. We want to find the reference angle of tangent for pi over 3. So we're going to use the cosine over the sine. Sorry, the sine over the cosine. All right, so I'll scroll down. The tangent of 60 degrees, or pi over 3, is taking the sine over the cosine, so the sine is square root of 3 over 2, divided by the cosine of 1/2. Notice it's just the flip-flop of the blue. So we change it to multiplication, and we reciprocate. The 2's are going to cancel, so we're left with the square root of 3. All right, I would recommend that you kind of know the main tangents around the unit circle, or just remember your reference angle for that first quadrant.